Just out enjoying nature and doing a little hiking. This is Quality of Life, Grace Teaching New Covenant Ministry. Romans 7:4 tells us, therefore you have died to the law, so that you may be married to him who is raised from the dead. Paul, the Apostle Paul, is writing. And so he's talking about a relationship there with Christ now. We are believers in Christ, and this is for believers in Christ. We are here to encourage and lift up the body of Christ. I'm going to set up this story with a courtroom, and there's this judge up there, and there's here I am. Say I'm up there talking to the judge, and just behind this judge is the Ten Commandments. And the judge says, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? And I look up at the first commandment and it says, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Well, I blew that one, so no sense reading the other 9. So I said, I'm guilty. And so at that very minute, though, now what happened was Jesus walks into the courtroom. Now you know who the judge is. That's God the Father. And so he's got a perfect standard. Yeah, the law is holy. There's nothing wrong with the law. It's just we've died to the law, and I'll explain that. But in this courtroom, here comes Jesus. He walks into the courtroom. He's the advocate, and he says, Your Honor, I paid the fine. I paid it in full. He is not guilty. And so that's what the cross did. That's what Jesus did on the cross. And I'm really thankful at this time in this courtroom. And so I'm just getting ready to thank my advocate who came in and paid my fine. But just as I turn to leave and I say, well, I guess I'm not guilty, right? And I just get ready to turn, and the judge, which is God the Father, says, wait a minute, you're going to need Jesus to go with you. That's the resurrection of Christ now. And so he goes with us now to do life. Now we leave that courtroom, that law, and we leave the Ten Commandments, and we walk out of that courtroom with Jesus. We're forgiven and we're loved. We're in Christ, and so we're walking one spirit with him out of that courtroom. Now, once I've been walking with the Lord and enjoying his grace, because we are saved by grace through faith, we have to remember not to go back to that courtroom and try to observe those 10 commandments. 2 Corinthians 3, 7a and 9a, Paul says this, the old way, with laws etched on stone, led to condemnation and death. So that's why I don't want to return back to that courtroom of law. I want to stay out of that courtroom of law, because remember, the law showed me a need for Jesus Christ. So as we walk out of that courtroom today, knowing we're forgiven and we're saved by grace through faith, Jesus says, I'm never going to leave you nor forsake you. 1 Corinthians 6:17 says, whoever has been joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. And so as we choose to live from the life-giving Spirit of Christ today to lead us and guide us into a quality of life, remember, where there's life, there's hope. And so remember, you're the most important person here, because without you we could not teach. Remember, we're learning so we can teach, and we teach so we can learn. Thank you. And remember, it's a privilege to worship our Creator in his creation. Thank you, and God bless.